Yeah.
And then when you got it started, and then we'll get going.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to see what the. Yeah.
All right. Go on, Sharon. All right, get started, guys. Let's do pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll do roll call here. Keith Jones. Chase Gann. Hey, Dax Kennedy.
Here.
Dave Wheeler.
Here.
Randy Smith.
Here.
Gilbert Lowe.
Here.
Nita Seacat.
Here.
Brad Gorsuch.
Here.
Josh Weiser here. Michael Welk. Present. And Evan Yoder.
Here.
All right.
You got two.
I got two. Anyway, Keith and
He.
Keith
Stay here.
and Chase.
Stay here.
Good, you got everybody. Sharon Olmstead. Nina Carr.
Here.
Russ Huey.
Here.
All right, I got everybody. All right, first, let's go through the agenda real quick. Make sure everybody's good with that. We've got the meetings from last time. And with the meeting minutes from last time to approve, we'll swear in Board of Zoning Appeals and new commission members. We do need to adopt the planning and zoning commission appeal bylaws that we discussed last time. And then we'll talk about the text amendments for the wind energy conservation. And I believe we will have public comment on that. Correct? Yes. Then we'll go into a work session on the comprehensive plan. I emailed out some stuff a couple of weeks ago on that. And then we will have another work session pertaining to oversight and follow-up for permit compliance. Are there any other items we need to add for today? Okay. Let's go to the meeting minute from last time. You guys should all have it in your packet. I did find one typo on my name. I've talked to Nina already on point number 4, the E and the I are swapped. Any other changes or corrections? Okay, if there's no changes or corrections, do we have a motion to approve the meeting?
We can do approve with correction of spelling error.
Okay. We got a motion to approve. Do we have a second? Okay, from properly seconded. Everybody in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. All right, Mr. Costas. All right, moving on to swearing in of our appeals member and new planning commission.
In the minutes.
Okay.
Okay, we've got several people to swear in tonight. So. Dax Kennedy was appointed at the April 6th commission meeting for the Board of Zoning Appeals for the 2026 through 2028 term. Place to do this is. If you please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Dax Kennedy,
Kennedy,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and faithfully discharge the duties of
and faithfully discharge the duties of
Board of Zoning Appeals member.
Board of Zoning Appeals member.
Thank you. Okay, get you to sign right there, please. And then at the April 27th commission meeting, members were reappointed. The incumbent planning commission members were appointed on the 2026 through 2028 term. Jason Gann, District 1, David Mueller, District 2, Brad Gorsuch, District 4, Josh Weiser, District 5. So, Mr. Gann. Raise your right hand, please. I, Jason Gann,
I, Jason Gann,
do solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and faithfully discharge the duties of
and faithfully discharge the duties of
Planning Commission Member, District.
Planning Commissioner of District 1.
Thank you. So please sign right here. Mr. Mueller? Thank you. Please raise your right hand. I, David Mueller,
I, David Mueller,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and faithfully discharge the duties of
and faithfully discharge the duties of
Commission Member, District 2.
Planning Commission member, District 2.
Thank you. If you'll sign right here, please. Thank you. Brandy Smith was sworn in January for the 2026 through 2028 term for District 3. Mr. Gorsuch? I, Brad Gorsuch,
I, Brian Gorsuch,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of
and the
Kansas,
Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and faithfully discharge the duties of
faithfully discharge the duties of
Planning Commission Member, District.
Planning Commission District.
Thank you. Mr. Weiser? You want to say-
Talk me through. I'm already halfway there.
Okay.
Excuse me.
All right, I, Josh Weiser,
I, Josh Weiser,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
I will support the Constitution of the United States
I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and faithfully discharge the duties of
and faithfully discharge the duties of
Planning Commission Member, District 5.
Planning Commission for District 5.
You'll sign here. And also at the April 27th Board of Planning Commission meeting, Mr. Evan Yoder was appointed to the Planning Commission for the at-large position for the 2026 through 2028. Evan, please raise your right hand. I, Evan Yoder,
I, Evan Yoder,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and faithfully discharge the duties of
faithfully discharge the duties of
Planning Commission Member at large.
county commission member at large.
Welcome.
That all of them?
That is all of them.
All right. Moving on to item number 4, adopt the planning commission board of zoning appeals bylaws. Everybody should have a red line copy of that. And if I'm not mistaken, we did discuss this last time. And our goal here is to officially adopt these.
That's correct. So the planning commission, your board, made a couple of recommendations to the board of county commissioners. They accepted those changes and then, see, that was on April 20th. They accepted the planning commission's recommendations, and then the planning commission needs to adopt the final version of that document. You have 2 versions. One is the red line that just shows the edits of what was changed from the February 2020 version. And then there's a clean copy that shows it with all the red lettering. So I believe they have to vote on that. Make a motion to adopt it.
Are any concerns? Anybody with the changes? Okay,
Make a motion to adopt the bylaws as they are without any further amendments.
I'll second.
we got a second. Any discussion? Okay, those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Motion passes. All right, the next one, text amendments pertaining to wind energy conservation systems ban in certain townships. I'd say we have a copy of that. Oh, that's this. Everybody should have a copy of the modified resolution. There it is. Resolution 2026-14. This was pertaining to the ban of prohibition of wind in the townships listed here. West Branch, East Branch, Liberty, Minnow, Peabody, Center, Clear Creek, Lehigh, Milton, Risley, Wilson, Gale, Durham Park, Colfax, and Catlin. Our goal here is to adopt this. We will have public comment on this, adopt or reject it. Any discussion on this?
So after we spent about a year working on this, out of left field, there was a resolution put forward. Correct. Okay.
Yep, that's where we're at. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I understand.
I have a question though. What about the remaining townships? What are we doing? Are we taking in the new regulations that we went through and worked on, or are those just, we're leaving them as the old regulations and untouched?
Well, I believe the new regulations, we adopted those and then the planning or the commissioners adopted those.
They did, I couldn't remember whether or not they did adopt.
So the new
That's why I
one,
want to make sure is that they're.
yeah, the new regulations would apply to the remaining townships. Any other questions?
I assume there was a vetting process that all of these townships were, there was discussion with all the people in these townships. Would that be a good assumption?
I don't know that it's a good assumption that from the point when this was voted on, we've had multiple hearings to have people from various townships, but I couldn't tell you.
But this come from the county commissioner.
Yeah, this comes from county commissioners, yeah.
So that's been up to them and their public
Yeah.
hearing process or however they do that. But
Yeah, so that's why I'm saying I don't think it would be a good assumption.
this would be the responsibility, whatever the consequence is, the responsibility of the commissioner, not us.
I guess I'd have a concern on the process that was used. Because the commissioners originally requested 4 townships. That was the original request in the record proceedings. And then when it came time for the vote, and the commissioner was not present, it included multiple other townships. And in fact, one commissioner didn't sign. So he wasn't present.
But I guess to that point, they had a quorum and they voted.
It is that.
Yeah.
But I'm still have an issue with the process. Because the presentation to the commission is for 4 townships. That's changed. And also, they supposedly went by population, but Colfax is obviously less populated than Clark. But Colfax was
And Colfax is what?
singled out to be excluded.
Okay.
So I guess where I stand, I would prefer to go back to the original proposal by the county commission of the 4 townships.
Russ, do you have any precedents and situations like this?
Certainly. There are several ways that the planning commission receives amendments to its regulations to act on. So to your point, Brad, when we deal with legislative functions and as opposed to quasi-judicial is us sitting here deliberating on individual CUP applications as they come in. Legislative actions by the planning commission and the board of county commissioners takes on a fundamentally different role. So instead of notifying property owners within 1,000 feet, when we have a legislative matter, whether it's an amendment or adoption of a comprehensive plan, subdivision regulation amendment, or zoning regulation amendment, we notify, publish notification in the official county newspaper, but then we notify cities and township officials of these legislative matters. So individual property owners would not receive any type of notification other than what is published in the newspaper. So the townships, one could argue, were notified by Sharon in preparation of this public hearing. As it relates to the resolution by the Board of County Commissioners, that is a more formal request, at least in my interpretation. I could be wrong, but as far as it plugs into our regulations, we take that proclamation, that resolution that bans it, and in the heading of that resolution, it directs staff and the planning commission to entertain this amendment. So we took that resolution and what was involved with that resolution. We took the intent and placed it where it needs to be within the regulations to fulfill that intent. So very simple, what we did to the book, to the zoning regulations, we only changed 2 sections, and I think basically added 2 or 3 sentences. So within Article 27, into the point, Article 27 and the effort that we all put into amending those restrictions and regulations is in the new chapter. This is going to have a second amendment to Article 27. And if you look on page 27-1 at the end, at the bottom of the page, section 27-103, it talks about overlay district established. And it had originally read simply that these wind regulations apply to every part of the unincorporated Marion County. So we simply added except within those townships where wind farm development is prohibited as listed in section 19-111, number 8 So that section, if you recall, we've banned certain things over time, certain mobile home applications, things of that nature. So we have had 7 things that are prohibited within Marion County. We are now adding the 8th, which is this wind farm prohibition in those 15 listed townships. There were some questions early on as to why we needed to do anything. Well, it's not in our zoning regulations until we go through this process. So I see what we're doing tonight with these zoning text amendments is simply going through the legal process of putting them in the zoning regulations. Certainly, this is a public hearing, so we will be hearing from the public. It is certainly within the power of the planning commission to make its recommendation on a successful motion back to the board of county commissioners, which have the ability to take our recommendation. Let's say, for example, that tonight the planning commission recommends these text amendments, Article 27 and Article 19. The county commission would simply endorse that by a simple majority. If the planning commission tonight were to recommend to the governing body denial of this prohibition or a modification of the number of townships, then the county commission could, 1, send it back for further consideration, or they can override the planning commission recommendation by a 2/3 vote. So it would take 4 out of the 5 commissioners to ratify it and not accept the planning commission's recommendation. That's the process in a nutshell.
So my simple input would be, we spend almost a year, maybe a year, I don't know, working on this, and in less than, sounds like 30 minutes, they went from 4 townships banned to 15 townships. And so they vetted that quickly. Just something doesn't feel right, but that's probably just me. That we spent that much time on this, and then all of a sudden we get a resolution that says ban 15. I just don't, I guess I'm just not, it's not just clear to me what's going on. Just, sorry, that's just.
And I wasn't speaking to a precedent on that action, on that single action. I was talking more broadly about how does the planning, how do we meet during a planning commission meeting to discuss text amendments? Typically, somebody will grab staff. In this case, somebody will talk with Sharon about, hey, the board kind of is looking at you guys discussing, opening up a discussion on short-term rentals, on data centers, on cryptocurrency mining, whatever land use we want to talk about. And so usually it just trickles down. Sometimes public organizations will request an amendment. State law allows us to generate text amendments on our own volition. It's amazing because we're all appointed by the governing body, what city or county. And you will find maybe 40% of, in my experience, planning commissions kind of oppose the governing body that appointed them. A lot of times, you would kind of think, since you're appointed officials, that you would be in line with the governing body most times. And I'm not saying that we're not, but so typically most amendments to our regulations come from the top down. Sometimes they are borne out by the planning commission themselves with no guarantee that the governing body has any interest in those amendments. So that's why I said this isn't necessarily the governing body making a resolution or a proclamation to have us, to direct us to entertain a recommendation on these amendments isn't uncommon.
I have a question. Is it because we increased the setbacks? We discussed all that and then it increased the townships because of the setbacks that we imposed? Was that the reason?
Don't look at me for any answer.
Well, that's what I heard.
Well, I think we can look at it as 2 separate things. We entertained and ultimately recommended or approved, adopted, I should say, all those many changes to the entirety of Article 27. Okay, done. Then we came back at the direction of the behest of the governing body to then modify where that land use is allowed. So we modified the standards for those townships or those portions of Marion County that still would allow wind development. We just have more modernized regulations that deal with those areas of the county. And then we're coming in and saying where we don't want to entertain that land use.
I have a question. I must have missed the originals. What were the original, does somebody have what the original?
East Branch, West Branch, Liberty and Minnow.
Thank you.
I represent East Branch and we did a resolution banning it in East Branch. So did Liberty. Officially.
And then to follow up, how many townships are blocked out because of the Flint Hills moratorium? 7
It's those 5.
On the far eastern side, isn't it?
The whole east side and the south.
Some of Fairplace, some of Center, some of North Center, some of Fair Creek, some of Lost Springs out of the city.
7.
So
Possibly part of Australia.
Yeah,
Here, we had the Article 27 presented to us for at least a year, is that correct? We got it last year, like,
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
14 months ago, we said. 15.
How many actual meetings did we have that we actually sat down and we talked to about that? I mean, to answer his question, how many times we actually sat down and talked about it, we didn't have that many meetings in a whole year that we just actually talked about Article 27. We had other things, but not just that. How many times did we have it on our agenda to actually sit and talk about it?
I would say 6 times,
6 times in a whole year.
maybe 7.
Well, there's 12 meetings in a year, so it's obviously consumed a lot of agenda.
I guess at the end of the day, the commissioners, the Board of County Commissioners have the ultimate final say. We're an advisory board. How we got to this point, I think is almost irrelevant because we're at this point where we've got to hear the public and then we got to vote. We got to make changes. We got to vote on it. So I don't really want to spend a lot of time figuring out how we got here because if we get nowhere doing that. So let's do this. Let's go and hear from the public. I'll close the public comment and I'll come back to this board after we hear the public and see if there are recommendations for changes and then I'll take a vote. That sound good? Okay. So for the public hearing, we're going to limit it to 2 minutes. I'll keep the time, but if you want to speak, please state your name and we'll start now. So do we have anybody that wants to speak?
Brendan Goer. The regulations you adopted are really good. They apply to the whole county, but the Board of Commissioners have just discussed in many meetings about what banning wind energy in populated counties, more populated counties. And so the discussion was about population. Initially, it was 4 townships, but you can't, if you base it on population, then you have to apply it to the whole county if you base it on population. So that's why it got to more townships. So that's how we got to where we are.
Anybody else? Okay. I'm going to close public comment and bring it back to the board. All right, so the topic on the table is prohibition the modification, the prohibition of the commercial utility scale WEX are prohibited in the listed townships. Do we have a motion to accept them as it is? As it's written?
I make a motion to accept it as is.
Okay, so what our board needs to discuss are the regulations, so it's not the resolution per se, it would be the
Okay.
regulations.
We have to change the
We have
regulations.
to change the.
That includes that direct.
Okay,
Right, so the motion would be to amend the zoning regulations, specific to section 19-111.
Yep.
And article 27-103. And just for everybody, article 19, which is the crux, the more important section, I would argue, 103 lists, again, the 7 and potentially soon to be 8 prohibited uses. And number 8 is the establishment of wind/utility scale WEX project as defined herein is prohibited in the following townships. That lists the 15 townships. And then in article 27-103, it says WEX overlay district shall apply to all of the unincorporated portions of Marion County, Kansas. New text would be except within those townships where WEX development is prohibited as listed under 19-111, number 8.
Okay.
Short and sweet, but that affections in our actual zoning regulations, the intent of the county commission.
so we're voting on modifying the regulations with this.
And Sharon's resolution before the Board of County Commissioners will have that language that I just read, that she's showing you on the board there in the resolution.
So,
So you all have that document that has, up at the top, it says Article 19-111-8. And there's one sentence at the bottom. Number 8 would be that text amendment to Article 19. So that's that would be the recommended text amendment to Article 19. Is everybody following me on that so far? Just that one sentence. And then in Article 27, there were just a couple. Page. The only changes in Article 27 would be page 27-1. That last sentence there. It's establishing the overlay district. It would say, except within those townships where WEX development is prohibited as listed under section 19-111, number 8. So it refers back to Article 19 that states out each of those townships that wind energy conversion systems would be banned in. And then the other change would be budget would be in a different color. Okay, so page 19-21. Okay, that's the end of that. Sorry, we circled back around. This is Article 19 again. This is the part in Article 19 where it specifies which townships wind energy would be prohibited in. And then Article 27, that one sentence is all that would be amended to state it's prohibited in those townships. Does everybody follow that or do you have questions about that at all?
Just wanted to make sure that the motion was tight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But that's all that would change in the May 2026 edition.
Okay. So the motion would need to be to adopt resolution 2026-14 into articles 27 and 19.
The
changes?
motion would be more like, the motion to approve the text amendments to Article 19 and Article 27.
Yeah.
As proposed.
Yeah, that's proposed.
All right. Let's start that over. Do we have a motion to accept those text amendments into Article 19 and Article 27?
I make a motion to accept those amendments into Article 19 and Article 27.
Okay.
As proposed.
We've got a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
And seconded by Evan. Any discussion?
I still come back to the 4 townships. Also in the population density, they included the towns. They didn't exclude the towns.
Okay, the 4, what was the population density?
But the East Branch, West Branch, Liberty, and Meadow. Those were the original.
Okay. And so what are you getting at?
I come back to those 4 townships.
Okay.
This applied to those 4 townships. And the reasoning they used is inconsistent with some of the other townships they excluded. And also the population density they used included little towns, Tampa, Ramona, Lost Springs, not just the rural area, those rural areas. When we looked at the population densities for planning and zoning, they were different numbers.
I think I remember
We looked at those numbers.
some of
That
that.
was a year ago. What we looked at. I come back to the 4 townships.
Okay. Any other discussion? Since we've been properly motioned and seconded, I'm gonna put it to a vote. And see where we're at. So all those in favor, say aye and raise your right hand because I want to see,
Would you prefer to do a roll call?
I guess we could do a roll call vote, yeah. So let's go around. Who's in favor of this? This is just roll call vote, so. Those in favor, raise your right hand. I want to see an idea where we're at. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Those against, raise your right hand. Chase, did you vote?
I'm going to yay.
Oh, yay, okay. Whatever. We got a full 11. 7. Yeah, so 7. All right. Yep.
Yeah, because I didn't get who said yay or nay. I'm sorry. It
Okay.
just went too fast.
So yays were Yoder, DeCap, Weiser, Lowe, and Jost.
Yeah. Chase.
And Gann. Nice got it.
Okay. The cat was a yay. Yes. Thank you.
Any other, before we got to put this to rest one way or another, so I'm going to ask one more time, any other discussion? Okay. Let's make it an official vote. All those in favor?
That was a vote.
That was a vote. Okay, sorry.
That was a motion, a second, a vote.
Yeah, all right, sorry. I was thinking we were just,
Yeah.
all right,
So. Motion and then
Evan seconded.
Evan second. So that motion passed 7-4.
All right. Moving on to our work session on the comprehensive plan. Has everybody looked at the comprehensive plan? So the goal here, what time is it? We can be here all night. if we want to.
Not doing the VRBO.
VRBO.
I think they're on paperwork now.
That was one of the last meetings.
Yeah, that was,
All right, I got lots of shit.
we're on comprehensive plan.
Here.
So, Jeff, get your right agenda.
That's why I caught the stir.
Yeah, that's all right. So the goal tonight, I don't expect we're gonna get through everything on the comprehensive plan, but what I do want to do at the very least is get an outline of where you guys want to focus on changes, improvements, recommendations, all that. And then, if we get a list and we're good with that, we'll start working on it tonight.
Could we have our consultant kind of give us a little framework, guidance? Certainly.
Yeah. So the comprehensive plan, I think the primary elements that we would want to take a look at as the planning commission itself. So the comprehensive plan is comprised of several different sections. There's a lot of socioeconomic information that goes into a comprehensive plan, population, economics, as well as housing. Those things are somewhat pro forma, primarily comes through state and census data. Wichita State is a great resource for population projections and things of that nature. That is something that typically I would put together, and then we would present that information, get that information out for you as soon as it's compiled. Rarely are there certain questions, unless there is severe population decline or growth. Those are the two. Anything that's kind of out of the ordinary or things that we want to focus on. If you were in a high decline status, we're going to be talking about certain policies. We're talking about getting in a position of unwanted population growth, which is typically impacted as opposed to counties. Then we would be talking about the host of problems that would create. So we have a lot of just background information that goes into the comprehensive plan. I think at least my impression would be that we're going to want to focus the 2018 comprehensive plan utilized an online community survey. I think we had 30, maybe 30 questions sent out and made available to the public. We compiled that data, and that helps inform probably the most critical thing that we're going to be dealing with in the update to the comprehensive plan. That is a complete relook at the policy implementation. So we have an idea of where we are economically. We have an idea of what our population is doing. We will have an idea on public department, on county department. So there are things that Road and Bridge is looking to do that we'd want to put in the comprehensive plan. But ultimately, the primary function in a comprehensive plan is to articulate the county's goals and objectives for land development, land use change, and for growth. So in that, the opinions stated 10 years ago may have changed over that last decade. So I think we'd want to entertain the idea of public outreach. I have done it pretty much every way, from 4 fancy town hall meeting style meetings, and I've done it through something as remote as a online community survey. Each one has its advantages and disadvantages. Participation is really what limits quality input. I think we've had success with the online survey as far as reaching more people, people having the ability to give more anonymous answers that would lead to discussions, which ultimately will lead to us maybe revising or adding or subtracting some of our existing goals and objectives. Most of the goals and objectives start from a hierarchy of very broad that would apply to pretty much any location. At a high level view, Marion County is a little different than Dickinson or Chase or any other county in the state, with the exception of maybe a handful of the metro areas. And even we share some of the same concerns with, let's say, data center development that the entire state's dealing with right now. So that's a way to gauge from the public what it is that they are concerned about, what they think the various operations of the county that are going well. And so that would be I think a key piece would be focusing our attention on discussing what we want to see happen with public outreach. And then ultimately we'll probably spend a lot of time, less time on, I guess we could sit here and argue housing numbers from the US Census. It is what it is. Certain things like a land use map, we would update the land use map because things have changed over the decade as well. So that goals and objectives section, as well as community outreach, would be the key things that I think we need to discuss tonight to get started. I will say this, comprehensive plan development, even though this is what I would consider a major update, as opposed to a complete rewrite from 2018. There are sections that probably will not change a word. There's preamble in there that discusses the comp plan and its role in the statutes and what it does for the community, et cetera. That pretty much goes in all the comp plans that I developed. But what makes it unique to Marion County is going to be what the citizens have to say and our formulation of goals and objectives. So I think step one would be, again, understanding that these are slow moving processes. You know, if we were changing just a few sections of the comprehensive plan, let's just say we wanted to update the socioeconomic demographic data. In 2 weeks or 2 months, we'd probably have that information to stick in there. But that's not really really, while we're doing that, I think of it as a medical experiment, a medical operation. We've got you on the table. If we find something else that needs to be fixed, now is the time to do it. So I think we're going to have a comprehensive cover to back look at it, and we will modify and change and address and discuss whatever sections we want. But I think the primary focus is to make sure that our goals and objectives are where we want to see them for the next 10 years, for the next 5 years. So we take care of comprehensive plans, goals, and objectives when we have a specific thing that we're dealing with that we need to deal with. And I'll give an example: a county in Kansas that prohibited all renewable energy development. That's fine as a vision, right? But what we needed to do to make it defensible in any type of litigation is to make sure that that idea of banning renewable energy in that county is indoctrinated and stated as such within the goals and objectives. And goals and objectives, like I was starting, is a hierarchy from very generalized, we want to preserve the rural character of Marion County, Kansas. You know, that every county is going to have something similar to that. And then we work our way down to more definitive things. And that gets tricky. You know, Road and Bridge isn't going to want to have to say, okay, we're going to rebuild these 3 bridges in the next 2 years. That's a CIP thing. That's a budget thing that Road and Bridge would work out with the commission. So we're somewhere in that middle ground. But we want to make sure, that we go through this comp plan, and as we just acted on, make sure that, we want to make sure that we have very strong language in there that reaffirms the action we just took. Right?
Yep.
So, not necessarily complex, it's a slow moving animal. It just is. Comp plan updates typically are not the most important work we do, meeting in and meeting out. So you'll probably see it at the bottom of the agenda as a work session. Work sessions, just for the audience here, is just that. That's a chance for staff and you all to have an open forum discussion. We can invite public comment at any point. The public comment at the end of this project, we will hold a notified public hearing, just exactly like we did for these text changes to the zoning regulations. That would be the official public hearing for people to come and speak. So people are more than invited to sit and listen. We're more than happy to receive individual correspondence with people. And we will present that and let you determine whether there's a unified support for those objectives.
So do you have, yeah, so you've got this, so really looking at what's on the screen there, I mean, there's multiple sections for goals. What I'm hearing is, for example, do we really want to spend a lot of time on the socioeconomic development? Focus our effort, at least the first priority, maybe on land use. I'm just throwing ideas out there.
Josh, I will just point out again, I think we do. I think the answer to your rhetorical question is yes, but that's nothing you all have to worry. That's me back at the office at AmericanFactFinder.com going through my usual pro forma of putting that information together. It's just an updated to the same type of stuff. And it's very basic. We talk about household income. We talk about average housing costs. We talk, if the data is available, we talk about the age of housing, just so we have an idea of, hey, maybe we need to have more incentives for new home construction. Maybe there's regulations we need to loosen up in order to maintain housing, which then again, of course, as an extension maintains population base, which therefore maintains tax base. So,
And then, so you'll look at the data and you'll make those recommendations, but I do think it's important that the board looks at the actual goals.
Mhm.
And
that's where I kind of.
that's something that we need to look at.
Absolutely. That's why I think that's going, it's always the focus.
Yeah.
It's always the focus, just like it was when we worked with you all to write this plan. That's something that we're all going to be involved with, but you're going to receive a chapter or two that I authored. You look through it. Probably 40% of planning commissioners look through that stuff because it's a synopsis of census data. I think the only comments we had in the 2018 one was when we had a former school teacher discuss my use of commas. Legitimately, I think that was the conversation when we went through a lot of these chapters. But in all seriousness, yeah, this is going to be the focal point. Is there something in there that how the heck did that even get in there in the first place? Let's get that thing. There potentially is one that says we want to have wind farms in every section of ground. We want to, of course, take that stuff out because it's conflicting.
Yeah.
So again, what we want to see from 2016 going forward.
Any thoughts at this point?
So we're gonna take everything out, then what are we gonna put in then?
I'm not saying that we take everything out.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, he'll basically just be it'll be based on the 2024 census data. I think it's
Yeah.
25
Mhm.
would be the most recent census data. They'll take that and
I'm all about actionable data. If we're not gonna have actionable data in this, then you just throw the thing away and.
That's what he's gonna provide.
Yeah.
So he's gonna provide the data and his synopsis of the data, and then we're gonna look at that, and then we're gonna talk about every one of these goals for socioeconomic development and whatever else goals is further down the list.
Yeah.
But that's just data that's just plugged in, that replaces the old data that's
That's
already. in there.
data that's not actionable. You know, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do for the county? What
Well,
are we
we
gonna
can
look
look
at? What do we plan on doing?
That's what we,
exactly what the goals and objectives will be,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah.
And that's.
Oh, boy, I can't wait for this one.
that,
Good stuff, Brad.
I'm working on it right now.
Yeah, we're counting on you.
yeah,
Yeah. That's exactly what the purpose of this is. Look at that data, look at the housing, the income, the age, all of those factors, the trending of our county statistics, and determine what are the goals? What do we want to promote? What do we not want to promote? How do we want to encourage growth? How do we want to encourage whatever issues or problems that we're having in the county?
And I'll say this probably, hopefully will be a pretty boring exercise. Because we have done over the past few years, a lot of heavy lifting on the modern land uses that are concerned. We've done a very good job of being proactive. We heard about Jeff County's crypto mining disaster, so we jumped on that. We have it in the book as a prohibited use. Clearly, we have the last two with short-term rentals that have been modified a couple of different times. We learn, we add to, we subtract. So most of the time I'm sitting here talking to a group, to a county that if they could find their old company, and maybe it's 30 years old. I've seen some in the 70s when there was community development block grant money that would go around and fund a lot of these studies. So here, what we're going to be able to do is take a look at the projections and the assumptions. Comprehensive plans have assumptions of what's going to, here's the trend. Are we going to see that trend continue? Why and why not? So now we'll have a decade or 8 years as a comparison to say, okay, we thought we'd be here by this time. We were way off.
So the whole state of Kansas has an issue. We're taxing everyone into the ground.
Yep.
And our populations are going down.
Yep.
And the people are leaving. They're going to Oklahoma, they're going to Missouri, they're going to Arkansas. Everyone, it's zero growth in the state. And if we think we can live on farming alone, we're making a big mistake because it's not working in the state.
but that's part of the goals here.
Well,
We need to look at these goals and say, are we prohibiting growth in Marion County?
I'm looking for what can we do? What can we do
Yeah.
to grow so that our kids stay in the county, let alone the state?
Is there anything to do? I mean,
Well,
that's the question.
What? Hey,
And then how do we
Oklahoma's
compete?
grown 20%.
How do we compete with the neighboring counties such as McPherson and Newton that have infrastructure that drive business?
Well,
They're easily accessible. So what direction does the county want? Does it want to be residential? I mean, that's, I know I don't want to pay any more taxes.
Well, I'll tell you what,
And if you have fewer people,
The
that
more-
means more taxes per individual.
Yep.
And I'm sure against that.
Well, before we start
Are we
talking,
on?
before we start talking about growth, we need to look at what's going
I
to.
agree.
We need to hold an even keel. And get level things out and then look at where we want to grow, because growth, that's like change for the sake of change. It's not necessarily a good thing. So, I don't want to see what happened to Kansas, what's happened to Colorado. That went from a beautiful state to a dumpster fire. So, we don't want to see that. So,
well, we walk away from here, let's say 3 weeks from now, we got a pretty document that absolutely means nothing. It'll be the same thing. 6 years from now, we'll be saying, boy, howdy, we gotta look at this. I know a lot of these people that did this 2018 thing. Good people, but I haven't seen a lot of positives. I'm sorry. Taxes go up every single year.
See, that's the trouble. We're not deciding what's taxed here.
No, but still taxes are real simple. You got so many people and so many expenses. You divide it and you pay.
You gotta provide more services for more people too, so you gotta do that.
So,
Sorry. Yeah,
Yeah,
We got an economic issue in the state and an economic issue in this county.
absolutely.
Yeah,
And I hear it, Dan. Whether we like it or not. If all we do is we want to put together a nice document that means nothing, that's great. That's great.
So one of the
We'll be
things,
back 2 years from now talking about it again.
one of the things that some of the people learned that went to that training that we have is that this the comprehensive plan is what drives how we make amendments to our regulations, what we allow, what we don't allow, what we promote, what we don't promote. And it also works its way into every CUP application that comes through this board, because there's a question on there. Does it align with the comprehensive plan? Is it something that we want to promote? Is it something that we don't want to promote? So when those things come up in the future, those CUP applications, if they don't match what is in our comprehensive plan, then we need to think about that. If they do match what is in the comprehensive plan, if it's a type of economic development that we want to promote, and it's in our comprehensive plan that says that we want to promote these things, then we need to look at that.
That's the reason why I'm doing this, because data centers aren't addressed in the comprehensive plan.
Yes,
So that's what brought this up.
yes.
and this is our, I look at this as a business, this is our roadmap. This is our roadmap and key performance indicators. How
Our
we
county has not used it as a roadmap in 20 years, guys. Let's be honest.
then there has to be a day one. And that's on past leaders. I mean, we can look at the past and say, it's never been done. We have to look forward and say, how are we gonna change this?
I don't see much reason to talk about goals and all this stuff today if we're gonna talk about it later. So
Yeah.
I think Russ has got a good line of work ahead of him to bring us the data
But
and synopsis.
he's not gonna tell us what this county really wants to go after in terms
Well,
of.
that's what we're gonna
Growing.
decide. That's what we're gonna decide here after he tells us where we're at.
Our leadership and our county commissioners have to say, hey, I got a vision, buddy. Here's what it is. I got a vision.
The idea of the comprehensive plan is to bring the vision from the county, from the population down. So the commissioners can use it, so planning and zoning can use it. And that's what there've been a lot of active people pushing for a direction for the county, and that's really what the comprehensive plan's about.
So you
So
should be
we-
excited, Brad, because we're gonna talk about it.
Hey, I'm 100% about growing this.
I know
county.
you are. I believe that.
Emphatic about
I believe it.
it. I want this county to be successful.
Yeah. I believe you.
I want it to be successful too. I'm investing in 3 houses I'm building over in Gossel in the county here, so.
And they're in the city limits, right?
They're in the city.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's smart. Yeah, that
See,
is
for the
smart.
comprehensive plan, we're growing the city over there.
And I would say that each one of us all have that same goal in mind. I think we all want, otherwise we wouldn't be wasting our Thursday evening on a rainy day.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just want to make sure everyone's on the same page that we want to get something actionable.
Yeah.
And that we're behind.
So another question, we're gonna get data, but what about public input?
Yeah, so there's a time for public input. I mean, you can ask for it during certain work sessions, depending on what topic we're talking about, if it's appropriate then. Like Russ said, there will be, I think we called them stakeholder meetings when this plan was developed. We sent letters to schools, the fire districts, all the townships. We tried to get as many people that we could that could bring ideas to the table and comments. And then at the end of all of that, once we have a document that kind of outlines what those goals and objectives are and all the other sections of this, there will be an actual public hearing, like Russ said, because this is a document that has to be adopted by the governing body.
But no, hey, you mentioned surveys and we talked a little bit about town hall meetings here, but will we send out any kind of electronic surveys?
We did at the last,
It should be in the appendix of your comprehensive plan.
Okay, so the one that
Yes, there's
exists.
results from it.
Okay,
Results-
I didn't know if we'd.
The results would look like that, and it will have the number of questions and the types of questions we ask.
Okay,
So I would ask that we take a look at those again. See what, some of those questions were worth repeating. I guess it should come as no surprise that none of these public input sessions, regardless of the manner in which we conduct them, with the exception of one, is going to have any type of statistical relevancy. There are firms that specialize in community survey work. That cost runs about the equal amount that I charge for a new comp plan, about $20,000. So I have personally never been involved with a comprehensive plan project that would hire an outside statistician firm to conduct a statistically significant public input forum. Those are kind of reserved for large metro areas with a budget. You get comprehensive plans that have a $200,000 budget. You can fold something like that into it. But even Wichita's dealt with data center public input. Sedgwick County has had a number of issues over the last 5 years that have required public input. They're all surveys, all online surveys. I utilized SurveyMonkey. I get embarrassed when I say that name out loud, but it is the industry standard.
Rest can throw together a great survey.
Sorry, but we want to
At a
buy,
great
but
value.
before I pull the trigger and unleash an online survey, we want to probably talk about it in July and make sure that the questions are the questions we want to ask the public and the manner in which, and we typically have those open anywhere from 1 to 2 months.
I mean, but the survey is just basically comments because statistically it's irrelevant, like you said.
We had some pretty spicy comments that I failed to clean up in the initial draft of the comprehensive plan. One thing I'll probably never forget professionally. So something like an online survey can run concurrent with our discussions. We'll probably, let's say we grab 3 chapters at a time, or grab 6 chapters all at once and then focus on 2 or 3 that are going to take up most of our time, that are debatable, that are something that we're going to have to work through. We're not going to debate. I think it's fruitless to debate census data since it's already has a percentage error built into it based on their statistical modeling, but it's the best we have and it provides a general snapshot. I also like to compare census data and Wichita State's projections with hard data. There's hard population data that the Secretary of State's office requires each year. It comes out in July. So we would have that information, which is hard, better quality numbers there. But it's a comparison. Do we have 12,000? Do we have 12,500? Do we have 13,100? Do we actually have 9,800? What's the county's population? We're going to get it in the ballpark. And it does. Most of the time it is inert. It's fairly benign information. It's just is what it is. It's something you could Google, probably come up on your front screen as to what all this information is, but it gives a snapshot. And theoretically, it also gives potential investors in the county. Sometimes they will take as part of their due diligence, they'll take a look at the comp plan, which kind of gives the temperament of the county to a certain type of development. And then, whoever said it, I think Chase said it, everybody's in competition with somebody. First order of business is being within our region, central Kansas, knowing that there's a fundamental difference between Marion County and Saline County, Marion County and Sedgwick County, and in some ways Butler County. So from that standpoint, really we plow through it. We answer the odd question here and there, and we focus on these goals and objectives section and the timing of those things. So we're going to come up with a basket of things that we want to see happen, and we try to give an indication of when we would want those to happen. So there's short-term, midterm, and long-term goals as part of the implementation section. Implementation of the comp plan is fairly straightforward, again, and universal. We implement the comp plan by each and every CUP decision that we make. By each tax break, we would IRB type of tax break that we would get and then we will locate. So those are the implementation strategies, and they don't really differ. And the way to do it would be to talk about, does the county have an economic development director? If not, do they need one? Well, you're going to tell me, didn't you just hear what we said? We don't have the budget for it. So even if we can't see it on the near horizon, there are going to be things that we want to put in the comprehensive plans as long-term goals. When you're 25, I want to retire at 50. That's a long-term goal. And that's important because each month leading up to that retirement goal, you got to put in the work. So it's not what job I'm going to on Monday. It's that I need to keep working my way up the ladder to get to my goal. So that's just an overview. Comprehensive plans can be as complex as you can make them. They can be as simple. I have found that there are better comprehensive plans if we have roughly 90 pages, I think 83 pages. We can shave that down, so be it. If it needs more information in certain sections, you can certainly put it in there. So it's going to be a month by month climbing of the ladder.
So Brad, I got a question for you. Economic development is critical here. We're losing our tax base. What ideas do you have for business that we could attract here?
Man, that's not an easy question to answer. If you look at, let's take Oklahoma, for example. They have a Quality Jobs Act is what they have. In other words, I was involved with Boeing. Boeing put they offered basically $60,000 every job Boeing put into Oklahoma. They gave Boeing $60,000 for 3 years. That person was down there. They bought the jobs. They absolutely bought, because it was called the Quality Jobs Act, and they've been doing it and they continue to do it. And you look at them, look at their economics right now. We're at zero growth. They're at 19%. Okay. That's just one example of stepping out and saying, we want quality jobs. That's important. High paying jobs. And that's one thing. Missouri, they're at 10% growth. We're at zero. We're just stagnant. And if you're not growing, you're dying. It's real simple. Because cost of living increases. So when you sit there and stagnate at zero, you know you're losing ground 2 to 3% a year. So you got to put incentives. You got to get people that are willing to invest. And right now we're struggling. Look at Barkman Honey and
Put jobs down in Newton.
And they put jobs in Newton. They got jobs in Wichita. You look at Container Specialties. They got jobs in Pennsylvania. They opened a plant in Pennsylvania. Question is why? They couldn't supply quality people.
Yeah, I just read the article.
So, yeah.
Today.
Yeah, but trust me, they don't want to create a 3,000 mile issue by having production there or whatever. But if you can't find people, you go to where the thing is.
Yeah.
So, but if we're standing still, guys.
But that's what we need the comprehensive plan tells the story to potential investors of what we're open to as a county. I think also, while we don't have the final say in it, we definitely need the commissioner's support. We can put pressure on the commissioners for the things that we think we need. Doesn't mean they'll pass it, but I don't think we keep our mouth shut either.
And let's make it real clear. Every road and bridge, every county employee, streets and everything is paid out of taxes. Right, wrong, or different. And if your base goes down, number of people goes down, your taxes go up. Or you don't, you do without. And we know what our roads have done over the last 20 years. They're finally stabilized and improving, in my opinion. There'll be people that argue with me, but at least, you know, some areas, okay, I don't want to argue on it. Leave me alone on that one. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
We're, you know, if you want, you've got to pay for all those services in the county. And if you don't have those services, people leave also.
So our goals need to say we're open for business to get the economic development here. Question is, what economic development do we want? Do we want to see? So Russ, you're gonna get the data. We'll have another work session on the next in July and look at that data. In the meantime, make sure you're familiar with all the goals, and there's a whole chapter on it. I'm sure it's had it up here too for the goals. Come ready to discuss.
We'll probably have, just so you know, we'll probably have something on the comp plan on every agenda.
Yeah.
In the next foreseeable future. So.
Can we start looking at getting questions together for public input for a survey?
If you want to take a look at the appendix and see what we had used. And perhaps I could, that's what, 20 pages. I probably have a 1 or 2 page Word document that I can email out to everybody or give to Sharon to email out to the group. That shows you what we did. We can discuss those in July.
It's important to.
That is important.
It's important to hear what, I mean, because so we're saying that we want to see growth. Maybe the populace of Marion County says we don't want to see any more growth. We're where we want to be, and we need to listen to what. But it comes back to where the growth is. I mean, but it depends what the people want.
Right.
It's a simple economic equation at the end of the month, I believe, or at the end of the year. The county has to balance their budget.
Well, I understand. You understand that. Everybody should understand that, but if that's what they want, that's what they want.
Each year you get about 3% less services because that's.
And I'm gonna quit paying for services I don't get.
Hey, you're a farmer, you get paid for it.
I'm behind that one.
You just gotta understand, if you stay stagnant, you lose 3%.
Well, you understand that, I understand that, but we're not,
You have to ask the public.
you have to ask the public. I mean, I know that if I need an ambulance, I'm 30 minutes best. If I need a fire department, it was 15 minutes. Took them 15 minutes before a truck rolled up to my place, and I live a mile and a half away from the station. So, yeah, I'm paying for a lot of services that I'm not really getting.
But every survey comes back, number 1 is cut taxes.
Yeah.
And number 2 is I want better roads, or I want better schools, or I want better, but cut my taxes.
Easiest way to cut taxes is to grow your population and the number of jobs by far.
You need commercial income.
You know, it seems like a lot of the commercial stuff that could come in gets tax breaks right off the bat.
That's right.
either from the state or something.
But that's out of our control.
That's out of our, I understand it's out of our control, but that's a problem we're up against. I mean,
Look at Oklahoma, they're sucking jobs out of Kansas left and right.
Oklahoma's got a lot of problems too.
I don't know, okay, but I'm telling you.
It's not really a great example.
It's a good example in terms of economics, money going down there. Hey, I wouldn't want to live in Oklahoma, let's make it real clear. I wouldn't, okay, I'm not trying to say that, but I'm telling you, there's economic models that are killing us.
They had a good population base to start with. I think they started way ahead of more workers. More people create more needs.
Still, you're either growing or you're dying. If you're staying still, you're dying.
We're not talking about Sedgwick or Butler or McPherson or, Saline County here. We're talking about Marion County. And we're far enough away from Wichita or any really high employment base area to where we're not gonna have the aviation or the engineering or, you know, the technical people. They want to live closer to work. So we don't have that here. We don't have that base here.
But potentially we have people like myself that came from a small, northwest Harvey County. I live in Wichita. Not one day went by that I didn't wish my kids went to Halsted High School. It was close enough, should have made that decision. Don't marry a girl from Newton, is my lesson in that. So there still is the potential, okay, so we're talking about weaknesses. A potential strength would be, how can we market? How can we convince? Is there the ability to have hope, to renew investment, in our housing stock? Say, Peabody, Hillsborough, and Marion. It's going to help those school districts, there's a lot of people that I around in Wichita that are small town expats, right? And we like 8 minutes to work in Wichita, right? We might like movie theaters and restaurants from time to time, but people are making housing decisions on school districts. Make sure, and I know the county can do very little as it relates to direct help of our school districts, but if there's any type of marketing campaign for strengths of a rural county, it's the classroom size, it's the small town atmosphere, it's the safety of being in a small school as compared to Salina Central or Wichita East or what have you. Can we explore that? What can we do about it? Probably very little. I'm not sitting here as an economic development director, but those are the ideas. Is there something, we just protected our high population areas in the southwest corner, right? So, we don't have to worry about building a house here in West Image, right? If you didn't like what you saw in other parts of the state. So these are all discussions that we're going to have probably 9 months.
So we have low hanging fruit. Let's take a little drive around. I don't care. We can start with Hillsborough, then we'll go to Tampa, then we'll go to Marion, and I'll show you houses that need to be cleaned up. We need to clean every city, every county, every place, and make this place pristine if we really want. There's things we can do. We can't do anything. Bull. There's things we can do. We can clean up our act.
I hear you. I live outside of Burns, drive through Burns.
I'm just saying, if you want your community, if you want your town to prosper, you first off act like you want it to prosper. You clean it up.
But that requires enforcement.
I don't
That
care. I'm
requires
just saying
enforcement.
there's things we can do.
And if enforcement isn't done, or if they're trying to enforce and they're not complying, then they're.
I think we should encourage our county commissioners to encourage the city people to do that.
I
But
will,
And that's what I want to do as a county, just to, as a county, is encourage the cities to meet some of these needs and help them do that.
I
No, I
was just
will
giving
tell
one
you.
example of the low hanging fruit that we can't deny, we can't do that, guys.
Yeah.
That's within our
I
grasp.
agree.
Gospel, I will tell you, Gospel's doing a pretty dang good job to try to keep things cleaned up.
Go up to Tampa, that's a model community. I'm serious. Go up there,
I agree.
folks, drive up to Tampa.
Except
They
their
are,
water, except their
their
water.
water's even improving, but look at their community up there. Go up there. I dare you, because it's a nice place. I drove through every street up there. They got a couple issues, but overall, they're working their issues.
So I want to get moving on here. I will say to Russ's point, I grew up in Wichita, hated living down there. I drove to Wichita for 25 years every day to work from the Gossel area. So there are people that will come up. You're not going to get a mass population, but there are people that want that environment, want the environment up here. You put a lot of miles on your car doing that, but, and part of the reason we moved up here when we did 22 years ago, the price of housing was so much cheaper. We were looking in Benton, I spent 4 times the amount that I spent up here for the same house. So, all right, we'll close that. We'll get the data next time. We'll have an agenda item. We'll start taking chunks out of this one as we move along to you.
Real quick, can we have at least a draft of questions ready for a survey? And we can make adjustments, finalize, or continue to.
Get those out to you. I will get those to Sharon, post haste. And that gives us a good 7 weeks or so to look through them and make notes and have a good discussion. Hopefully in July, we'll settle that and then be able to launch that survey, get that train running.
We're not reading it, James?
There's typically not reading it.
Well, we may, I can, I'll
The,
email you on that. We may need to.
the meeting in July needs to move forward. We need, that's still.
That's right, yeah.
Is that the one on the 23rd to the 16th?
Yeah. Okay. The next one, item number 7, work session discussion pertaining to oversight and follow-up related to permit compliance. I think Sharon, you had some.
Yes. Sorry, give me just 1 minute here. So what would have been the July 23rd meeting needs to move to the 16th.
Already.
So July 16th.
July 16th.
It's already on the agenda there, so.
You probably received a calendar invite from me since I moved with the virtual meeting link. When I changed the dates, it probably sent out a request for a change
Yeah.
on your calendar. And I might have to add you to that. I'm not sure if that. Did you get it?
It just helps.
Good old district
Okay.
Okay, so. And Josh, I'm not exactly sure how you want to start this conversation, but there was a suggestion for an agenda item. And I believe the original request was.
I'm looking at my report too.
Discuss the current process for oversight and follow-up related to permit compliance. When permit holders are found to be out of compliance, what is the established procedure for reporting those issues to the planning and zoning board? At what point is the board discussion or hearing required, and what penalties or enforcement actions are available under the current policy? So a couple of things that I outlined in the email back to the board in your packets was Article 24 in the zoning regulations outline the duties and responsibilities of the planning commission in the Board of Zoning Appeals. And then Article 25 in the regulations are remedies and penalties. And Article 22 is the administration of those regulations. there, I mean, this is kind of a complex issue. Let me start with the things that the planning commission and Rush chime in here too. I think I put some documents in your packet that kind of show that. So the planning commission, your responsibility is to review applications that come to your board or text amendment requests that come to your board. So they would be policy changes, land use changes, and those sorts of things. Your job is to review the facts of the case and then make a recommendation based on those facts. Those recommendations go to the governing body and they make the final determination. Conditional use permits are one of the things that this board would consider. Those are, or CUP is what we typically call them. Those pertain to specific land areas, like a specific parcel or piece of property, and a land use request for individual parcels. Text amendments are something that would affect the entire unincorporated portion of the county. So those also come to your board, but they're noticed a little bit differently. Rezoning, like if someone wanted for some reason to rezone their property rural residential to agricultural or whatever, yeah, or vice versa, that would come to this board. So those are the kinds of issues that the planning and zoning board would deal with. Zoning appeals are very specific. Those are in Article 20. I just said that.
It's a BDA.
Sorry, my mind just kind of went blank there.
21.
Thank you. Yeah, Article 21, they're very specific issues that the Board of Zoning Appeals would deal with. Such as, yeah, special exceptions, variances, appeals. But that's it.
Those are the areas that the board of zoning.
Okay.
An appeal is of a decision by Sharon, the zoning administrator. Variance, it's just that, you have an application with the, unique factors, there's 4 of them required by state law, saying where a certain regulation should not or cannot apply to a particular property based on its geometry or lack of road access or something like that. If there's a reason, they can request a variance or relief from a requirement. And the other one is called special exceptions. Special exceptions are a type of land use administration where common things that would otherwise always be approved, like a reduction in a setback, a reduction of height, certain things like that, you can allow them to be heard by the Board of Zoning Appeals as a special exception, but they have to be specific, they have to be specified as a special exception. So we have a list of them in Article 21. Typically, it's something that is very low intensity types of variances from the regulations. If they're not articulated, we simply can't hear them. The one thing about the Board of Zoning Appeals special exception that always needs to be mentioned is that you are the final authority on approvals of those. All Board of Zoning Appeal actions are final. They do not go to the commissioners for final approval, unlike the zoning case. So that's the fundamental.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
On those, how long do they have to comply? Once they're given their variance or whatever?
It would be typically in anticipation of building something or adding onto a home or something of that nature. There is no time limit on something like that.
Mm-hmm.
There are some cities, I have seen some cities that had otherwise been served by former consultants, like myself that, in the seventies, eighties, nineties, and into the 2000s, that we could write regulations for conditional use permits that would always specify any conditional use permit that was approved has 180 days to get built. Has 1 year to get built.
So
That's
if it's
2
not, what
years.
if it's not built?
Right. So in those situations, I don't like the inflexibility of it. So I don't write my regulations that have that hard stop, knowing full well, and I think we've discussed it here recently in a CUP. We have the ability to place a time limit on a CUP approval. If I want to build, let's say, a convenience store along 77 somewhere. You would have the ability to say, okay, if you're not, actually a better example are sandpits or rock quarries. We don't want them to last forever. We don't want company A to come in and unearth a quarry for 20 years and then sell it to another quarry for another 20 years, and that quarter section or that section of grounds inhabited by that pretty intensive land use in perpetuity. So I deal with sand pits all the time. We don't have rock quarries in Central County. We have all the sand one could want. They put an overarching, you can pump sand from that 80 acres. You have 15 years to do it starting now. Right. So we have the ability, and in the opposite fashion, just the example that I previously gave. If we want to approve a CUP and for whatever reason, the commission and the Board of County Commissioners wishes to make sure that it happens sooner rather than later, we can add that condition. You have 60 days, you have 180 days, you have 2 years in which to begin. If you don't, because we don't want to leave those area property owners twisting in the wind. Is that going to be the thing or is it not? So
Is that not in our rules and regs? Once they come for a cut, they do have a certain amount of time or they have to reapply after a year or 2 years.
we could do something like that with, say, a short-term rental land use. Things of that nature, but no. A CUP is no different than changing zoning from residential to commercial, commercial to industrial, or industrial to office. It's all zoning they are all zone changes, zoning amendments according to the statutes. And in those circumstances, they run with the land unless we do otherwise within the individual CUPs.
So once you give them that CUP, they've got till, the way it is now, they've got till whenever.
Just like any other zoning, yes.
Except for when it specifically has the time.
That would be great.
Well, and we did similarly with that mobile home that was moved in, one of the permits last year. Once they finished the house, they had 90 days, I think. if I remember correctly.
Yes, as a condition of that.
Yes.
Right.
Okay. Anything else on this one? Okay. All right, then we'll close that work session. Last thing is adjournment. Do we have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
We have 3 CUP applications for the next regular meeting.
Okay.
Just go ahead and drop that there.
Yay.
Do we know what they are?
One is a communications tower. One is a billboard sign. And I think one is a second residence on parcel.
Here's the tower at.
I would have to go look. It is been swamped. I would have to go.
Where's the second residence on parcel?
County line.
We'll soon find out.
He's just being mean. I want to make sure she's awake.
It-
in your yard so you can
You haven't let me.
It's close to Highway 56. Between Lehigh and Milford.
Just open the tower was southeast corner.
The tower. I have to look, honestly.
That's all right, we'll find out.
There have been
In due time.
plenty of fires to put out since I looked at those.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All right, we got
Second it.
we got a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thanks, guys.
Stack.